My name is Jerry Gill. Today is April 9th, 2009. I'm visiting with Dr. Adnan Bedran on the Oklahoma State University campus here in Stillwater, Oklahoma. This interview is for the O State Stories Project of the Oklahoma Oral History Research Program. And Dr. Bedran, welcome back to Oklahoma State University.
Thank you very much, Jerry. It's nice and good to be here with you.
We were just talking about, I think the last time we met back in 1985, you were being inducted into the OSU Alumni Hall of Fame.
Right.
And you've achieved much in your distinguished career since then as well.
Right.
We're certainly proud of you as an alumnus of our university.
I appreciate it.
And understand you're back on campus to deliver an address for the Wes Watkins International Lectureship Series.
Right, this afternoon.
Dr. Brown, could we maybe back up a little bit? I'd like to ask you about your early life, your family, how you grew up.
Well, to tell you, I was born in Jarash. I was born at the end of December 15th, 1935. And I was raised in a family, modest family in Jarash. Jarash is a very famous city because it is one of those the Decapolis city on the road of Kings to Rome. So it was a Roman city. Mm-hmm. And until now, the Roman city of Jarash is still intact. You see forums, you see colonnades, streets surrounded by colonnades, amphitheaters, temples, fountains. Even they built at that time in the old city of Jarash, the Romans Empire, they built the best sewage system I've seen and water system, where underground water system goes from fountain to fountain by gravitation from the springs without using any energy. And then also they built a sewage system where the sewage cannot be mixed with the drinking water. So really I was born in that city. Obviously not in the old city of the Roman city, because the Roman city is uninhabited right now. It's antique. It's archaeological site. I was born in the city of Jarash, which is adjacent to the Roman city, and I went through my education. I come from a family of 7. As a matter of fact, I have 2 brothers and 4 sisters. My father was a judge. My mother, she was illiterate. But with my father, she learned how to write and read. She was a wonderful mother. I don't know, sometimes really you don't measure people by the level of education they've attained in universities. You measure them by the experience they've got. And this is why I say we've learned a lot from this mother, our mother, that she has a limited type of education. We've learned how to be what you call cohesive family, to care one for the other, and also to really have a bond that anybody needs something, he is supported by the other. And this is why you'll find somebody is supporting the other's education. So I was born in Jarash. I went to my elementary school there in Jarash. Then I moved to Karak. Karak, they have a big cathedral, which is again built by the Crusaders. And during Salah ad-Din and the Crusaders fight about Jerusalem, but which ended peacefully. But I was born in that city, Karak. Again, my house, my home, was next to the cathedral. So always I am next to a historical site. Mm-hmm. So I've been influenced by that probably because I see a lot of tourism and tourists who come and visit the site. So I've been open-minded all my life. I never believed in closing the mind. You have to open to other cultures, interact with other cultures, learn from them, learn their languages, and what you call enrich yourself, because enrichment comes from interaction with other communities and with other societies and with other cultures. Then after that, we finished in high school in Karak. I went to Amman, the capital, and I graduated I went to an agricultural school. And this agricultural school has helped me to pick up Oklahoma State University to pursue my field in agriculture. Why agriculture? Because we have a farm in Jarash, citrus farm, and also an apple farm. citrus needs protection because require more temperature and so forth. And it was a big farm, so has influenced my life, this farm, because every weekend we used to go and work in the farm from the city. And this is why I picked up agriculture as a career those days.
Well, Dr. Bedran, education must have been very important to your family and to you personally. Why do you value education so highly?
Well, we value education because we feel that those who got education, they made it in life. Mm-hmm. And those without education, they didn't make it in life. So always we look at examples around us that we feel the capital, the human capital, is the most important thing. Something you cannot forget it in a bank if somebody happened to you. The human capital is carried within your brain. And when you have education, then really you know your way. You are enriched. You are empowered. Empowering people is really education. And we have experience from the conflict we have in the Middle East, the Palestinians, for example. The Palestinians, when they were driven out of their homes during the war between Israel and Palestinians, those who have education, they made it. And those who didn't have education, they end up in refugees, as refugees. Until now, and they are refugees. They take rations from UNRWA. UNRWA is the United Nations Relief Agency, which donate money, collect money from countries all over the world and donate it to people who are on stress, like the Palestinian refugees. So people who had education among the Palestinians, they made millionaires. They are multimillionaires now, and they are leaders. They became leaders, whether in business, whether in universities, whether in science, whether in governments. And when you go around now, you find those people, Palestinians, you find them in Australia, you find them in Canada, in the States here, in Europe. They made it because of education. So education, we feel, is really your bank of knowledge, your bank of skills, your enrichment and your know-how. Once you are armed with education, you don't have to worry whether you have a budget in the bank or not, because the bank there in your brain.
So you're talking about Oklahoma State, and I've got to ask you a couple of questions. How did you learn about Oklahoma State University, and what influenced you to come to Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma State University, to tell you the truth, I didn't go through the internet because we didn't have internet at that time. The only thing we depend on is really knowledge by contacts. And I had some people who went to Norman, the other university on the other side.
Right, the other.
Yeah, the OU. And also I have some colleagues who came to Michigan State University. Mm-hmm. Since I am interested in agriculture, Michigan State is the place for me. And really I came to Michigan. I'm sorry, I have to go back. It's Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State.
I get mixed up because my graduate work was done at Michigan State University. Yes. It's another grand college. No, I'm talking about Oklahoma State because I've done my undergraduate work, my bachelor degree in science was done at Oklahoma State University in Stillwater. So the Sooners, the Norman was some colleague of mine, and some colleagues also they were studying engineering and agriculture on the campus of Oklahoma State University, the Cowboys. And I like the word cowboy. You see, I've been you never know that those films, the early cowboy films, how much influence they have on society all over the world. I mean, they really, not entertainment only, but put us in a culture. The pioneers, how they opened the West and how they worked hard to build America, which is based on freedom of thought and freedom of expression and really democratic state. So we've been influenced by those films, the culture, the American culture, how they opened the West and how they advanced to the West and how they made America within 200 years a great nation and really what I say on the top of the world in terms of economy, in terms of democracy, in terms of freedom. and also liberty. And we believe in the American ideas. Yes, we don't. Sometimes we are slashed or we crushed by the policies in Washington D.C. But really, the American public and the American people, the roots of America, we have no difference. We don't differ with. We feel that this is an ideal to every country in the world, really, to look into America and try to make things happen in their countries like they've done it in the States. Remind you that those people who came to the States, I mean immigrants from all over the world, and they built a beautiful country, much better than the old homes or the old countries. Why? Because they were free. They were free of expression. They were free of pressure. They were free of dominance, and they were free of so much traditions, which built through history, which is very hard to get rid of. If they came here, they get rid of it. You see, they get rid of the old rule, the old dominance, and this is why once they became free, they invented. And they were the pioneers of the world in terms of science, in terms of development, in terms of really bringing things to the world which the world hasn't seen before. So what I'm trying to say here, that those things, the ideal, influenced my coming to the States for bachelor degree. And I'm very happy that I picked up Oklahoma State University, the Cowboy campus, to pursue my ag-ed education. On this campus, agricultural education. Professor Price, Robert Price, was my major professor who passed away to bad things 2 years ago. But he was really the inspiration for me, who inspired. And based on this inspiration, I built up my future, which is an open vision to proceed with a wide horizon of education, not very narrow education, broad education, which provide you with the tools and the empowerment to deal with problems, for problem solving, wherever you are, whether in agriculture, whether in business, whether in politics. This is very important, by the way, because I don't like to prepare people in narrow. I'm not talking about, again, bachelor degree. Bachelor degree should be broad. And if you want to narrow it down, then go to a graduate program, master and PhD. But really have the education and undergraduate education broad, where people start to differentiate and to make what I call intelligent judgment, and to really make a choice from many alternatives. This one cannot be provided if you immediately after high school you put them in a narrow tunnel of skills that they cannot expand their vision, and they cannot expand to look beyond the horizon, to try to jump from a lower orbit to a higher orbit. Once they are in the higher orbit, jump to second higher orbit. And this is the advancement, and this is how you develop. And I think OSU campus is a campus, inspiring campus, interactive campus. You mix with so many people, and you mix and very good quality in terms of academic campus. I'm so happy that I picked up the Division of Agriculture to start my undergraduate work here.
When you first came to Stillwater, what was your first impression of OSU?
When
you first enrolled?
Yes.
Here at Oklahoma State, what were your early impressions of Oklahoma State University?
Well, I didn't know very much about the university system. I remind you that I came as exchange student, not as exchange 4-H'er. I belong to the 4-H club, and in the 1955, before I came and joined this university, I came only for a small period of time, about 6 months, living on farms in the state, in North Carolina and Michigan, as 4-H'er, and living also in the 4-H, what you call it, summer camps. And I was so much impressed how you bring those young boys and girls really to learn by doing, not only lectures. To learn through those camps, and this way I learned about land grant colleges and universities through the 4-H camps. Yes. I learned how United States built its foundation on agriculture, then on mechanical engineering to serve the tractors, to mechanize agriculture again. They put agriculture as a basic component. I think nobody ever thought of this. And from that, then they start going up like a rocket because they get the basics. I remember when I was here during that time, 3% of the American public work in agriculture. They feed Americans and they feed as much international. I mean, this is remarkable when you look at it. Mechanized agriculture, new breeds of corn, new breeds of soybean, new breeds of research, R&D, outreach program, extension. So the university in the States, nothing like it in the world. I mean, land-grant colleges and university is nothing like it in the world. It's teaching, quality. Second is research. Third, extension, outreach. So really, they got it all. I mean, what is the benefit of research if you don't disseminate that research to be used by the farmers? So always I participated at Oklahoma State. I used to see the Future Farmers of America, FFA. I participated also in the 4-H, then the extension, how they bring the farmers to show them a demonstration about new ideas, a demonstration about a new outcome of research. So really doing the research and then disseminating the result and making demonstration to the farmers to convince them that this type of seed is better than that, this type of breed better than that, this type of feed better than that. This really has gave me the idea always when I went back home how to combine teaching with research with outreach program. We call it community service at home. But community service or outreach or extension, all of them really lead to the same conclusion, that the university should get out of its ivory tower. It should get out of its ivory tower to really diffuse information to the public, interact with the public, bring the public to the campus for learning, for continuing education, and really reach all components in the state, that no marginalization of anything will happen. Because marginalization will lead to inequality. Marginalization will lead to hatred by the minorities. So the US has been successful in the melting pot, where everybody gets into the melting pot, no matter what his religion is, no matter what the color of his skin, no matter what his ethnicity is, ethnic groups belongs to. All of them, they go to the melting pot to be armed again with the ideals of the United States, the early Americans, Jefferson, John Adams, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Woodrow Wilson, FDR. I mean, those are the people who put what I call the foundation of the American ideals, of the American way of life.
Well, Dr. Bedard, what was your, did you have any difficulties adjusting to American culture when you came over?
Yes, when I went back home, as a matter of fact, first I am the one who started the first campus, American campus in Middle East, not only in Jordan. You see, Middle East universities was, they were running after the Egyptian model. It's year, not semester. It's obligatory courses, no credit hours, no choice. It's after the French system. You know, when you go to the Sorbonne in France, you will find that la même chose, la méthode, that you have 1 year and you have one examination at the end of the year. You are not obliged to attend the courses. You come and go. As a matter of fact, if all the students will attend the course, there's no place for them. So it's better to stay home, some of them, as long as they appear on the examination. Those who don't appear, they flunk out. Those who appear, they may be passed or flunk out according to their grading system. So it's 1 year exam. So when I went there, and I was asked to create the Faculty of Science with 4 of my colleagues. Happily, that those 4 were graduated also from the United States. One of them from Harvard in chemistry, the other one from Minnesota in pathology, plant pathology, biology. And the third one was, I think, from Northwestern University in mathematics. and the fourth one it was from Purdue University. Anyway, and there's only one man from Karlsruhe in Germany. He was physics. But we did it all together, although we had difficulty in the beginning with our Karlsruhe person, because again they have annual system, the German system. They don't run on the American system. So we introduced for the first time, I would say, in any university in the Arab region, I introduced it with my colleagues, the semester credit hour system.
Was at Yarmouth University?
At University of Jordan.
Yeah, University of Jordan.
Yes, I was the dean. I was dean of science. And I introduced first in my college of science. I introduced the yearbook to present the student activities, that we are not coming here only to classroom and laboratories. There's an interaction on the campus. I introduced the outreach program, where in summer we bring all the teachers for training on pedagogy. And because I work the curriculum of science and biology in Jordan with other colleagues, so we have to train the teacher on the new biological course. When I went to Jordan, they haven't heard of the DNA and RNA, so we introduced all this molecular biology within the curriculum. So I am one of the founder of the new curriculum system in Jordan, and which was spread also to the Arab world. New curricula mostly in sciences and mathematics. And also we introduced the new curriculum for community colleges. We introduced the concept of community college, which were not found there. All this really, the American way of university, it was introduced. We had resistance in the beginning. I want to say that. We had resistance in the beginning because people who are used to the annual system didn't like this choice, this credit hour system. The person used to drop in a course, he repeat all the courses he succeeded in. He passed them. He has to repeat the whole year. I said, why should he, if he dropped, flunked out in physics, why should he repeat mathematics? And he has very high grade in mathematics. Why should he repeat biology? Well, he has a high grade in biology. He said, oh, no, he has to repeat everything because he flunked. I flunked in one course, my dear. So anyway, we have really to argue a lot. Finally, we succeeded in spreading the credit hour system. You see, we teach in English and the sciences. I think, again, it was on purpose, not to undermine my national language, no. I think we strengthen the Arabic through courses of strengthening, but we teach English because we want the student to be exposed to literature, to knowledge. Because if he is limited in Arabic, then and Arabic wasn't the science language. The science language is really English now. This is the global language for science. So he has to learn English to have access to literature, to have access to textbooks. And we use the best textbooks, which we use in America. The same McGraw-Hill, and other publishers, Elsevier, and all those publishers. The same books they publish, we use them. So for the first time, we introduced the American education in terms of quality, in terms of credit hour system, in terms of choice, in terms of liberal arts, where the people had. And then afterward, when we talk about culture, I think it is important, always I say it, that you cannot induce somebody culture on the others. This is a mistake. You have to take whatever culture you have there and see those things which value system belong to the value system, and they are with modernity. Those should continue. But those which I call them dead traditions, things which are binding the person not to advance, is bringing him back to the alleys of history, dark history, I would say. Bring him back to the dark ages. This should be abundant. And this is why when I talk about terrorist act now, I think is due to that those people, they went to what I call schools for children in their early childhood, religious schools which was extremist ideals in those schools. They picked up what I call the seeds. They picked up the seeds during their youthhood, during their childhood, from religious schools, and this religious schools has influenced their way of thinking throughout their lives. and they became terrorists, and they became anti. I don't want to say anti-West, because, but really anti-modernization. I want to call it anti-modernization. They call it in Arabic ضد الحداثة. ضد is against, حداثة modernism. So anti-modernism, and this is why I feel that this is why I like Obama's speech in Ankara 2 days ago, addressing the Turkish parliament, that we have to understand and communicate. We have to really develop mutual understanding. We understand your culture, you understand our culture. We differ, and we have to respect the differences. Otherwise, we will have conflict throughout our lives.
Well, kind of back to your OSU experience, were there many other international students from the Middle East at that time here when you were on campus?
21 students. At that time, we had the Arab Club, and I remember I was a member of the Arab Club. As a matter of fact, we were united very much, no matter. We had people, some students from Syria, some students from Lebanon, some from Egypt. I am from Jordan with other 2 Jordanians. We were 3 from Jordan. And we were number about 21 to 22, but we were very active. We created one club. As a matter of fact, we were active in the intramural activity also. We participated in the float, building the float for the homecoming game with the Air Force. And I remember we won. The Arab Club, our float was number 3, not number 1, number 2, but number 3. But it was good because the concept was presented, the pyramids.
Well, did you at that time? Did you develop some relationships with international students as well as American students that you maintained throughout your life?
Yes, we developed a relationship with international students. People came from Spain, Spanish, but our interaction was really with the American students of the campus. I want to say one thing, that the OSU campus, the Cowboy campus, is really way open. You feel at home within a very short time.
Positive experience for you?
So, yes, this is the experience. You feel at home. And you won't feel homesick because always there's activity. So you are accommodated in a way. At that time, I'm talking now about the 50s. In the 50s, when you say I am from Jordan, people, they look at you. And they start to think, well, Jordan even, And it's not like, because communication at that time, the internationalism in the state was limited, let's face it. Because the state passed through a period of isolationism, as you know. And they were isolated from the whole world, except Europe probably. But they know nothing about the world. And this is why I felt that we brought experience, we brought internationalism to the campus of OSU by bringing them where we come from. And I was invited to many Rotary and Ruritan and Lion clubs in the area, even as far as Oklahoma City, to explain how we live in Jordan. What is what form of government we have? What is our legislation? Our executive branch, the king. What is the power of the king in Jordan, and so forth? And our social system, based on what? And I think this is very important in what I call interfacing and interacting, and really show that a lot of things should not be taken for granted. I think you people in the state, you have worked hard for a lot of things, and should not be taken for granted. Because when I went back home at that time, the gap I found between the development of the U.S. and development in Jordan and the Middle East, the gap was wide, huge. Well, now has been narrowed. What you see in the States, you see it because of globalization. What you see in the States, you see it in Jordan. But before that, I think the gap was huge. in terms of infrastructure, in terms of type of education, in terms of health care, in terms of so many things, in terms of water distribution, sewage. Well, just say it, but now it's closer. And I think globalization has brought with it, although some people, they are against it because they are worried about their culture and that somebody is intruding into their culture, but interacting with culture will build peace. Isolated culture will build enemies. And this is why people do not realize that globalization has so much benefits by bringing the world from none to one. And I think this is very important. Obviously, we have to keep diversity. We have to safeguard diversity. We differ, and this is good. This is mosaic, I would say. If the whole world become one culture, it would be monotonous, as you know. So this is why I feel that, yes, the gap was huge, but during my days of study in the 50s, but now the gap has been narrowed, and I feel we are moving slowly for globality, where interdependence become part and way of life.
Well, Dr. Bedran, do you have some favorite memories of your OSU experience? If you could pick out one or two things. You talked about homecoming and the parade floats. Are there any things you remember about your time as a student at Oklahoma State?
Yes, I think, you see, I was living in Cordell. Dormitories, and we Ron Smith was our president. I still remember a few days, for half century now. I still remember a few names, and we had a lot of activities. We have the Hayride Day, we have the Aggie Day, because I belong to School of Agriculture. The barbecues, the picnics we used to have. And always there are social activities, almost weekly, whether from our dormitory or whether from our clubs, which we belong to, the Toastmaster Club, for example, the Aggies Club, and all this really has enriched our life. I was saying a story, for example, during the first week when I was here on the campus. Two beautiful girls wearing what you call the cowboy costume. They catch me like this with my. I was having hard time understanding them because I was limited in the English language at that time as newcomer to the campus, and they put me in jail. The jail is student jail. They put behind bars, you see, just next to the student union. I said, why? He said, well, you don't know, this is the cowboy days or cowboy weeks. And during this cowboy weeks, you have to wear something, a cowboy, a boot, or a jean, or a hat, or a tie, or a shirt, whatever it is. So I didn't have any of those. And I was so pleased. I was put there for almost half an hour, 1 hour, And after that, I went and bought, a boot and a jean. And this was my official dress in the campus all the time, the jean and the boot. And I felt, this type of social activities on the campus. I mean, bring students together. What I call cancel or delete any differences between them. Bring culture closer together, I think. And I thought this is very enriching for me, experience, being within the first week or 2 weeks on the campus, to have something like this, because really this broke the ice. And that because we come from an area where you feel that you should be formal. You shouldn't laugh except when you are allowed to laugh. You shouldn't speak except when the elders allow you to speak. I mean, a very conservative community. So you come here and you find this open community, laughing. Even if you do a mistake, people correct you without laughing at you, without mockering you. I think this is very important in building confidence.
Did you learn how to say howdy?
Yeah, well, that was my word, always howdy.
Howdy.
You see, I forgot the word howdy when I went to Michigan State. You see, Michigan, they don't say it.
No.
But after I finished here, I went to Michigan State and worked for 3 years in research in Boston and Central America. So I forget the word howdy, but this is, you don't say hi, you say howdy.
Well, Dr. Brown, kind of maybe moving forward, let me ask you a little bit. You've devoted your life as a professor, a researcher, university president, government official, to developing educational programs and infrastructure in Jordan and other Arab countries and around the world. What's motivated you to spend your life work in educational endeavors?
Well, I feel if you want to change society, the only way to do it is through education. And the importance always, if you want to develop a country, you have to look. Once Tony Blair was asked, when he became Prime Minister of Britain, he said, what's your project to develop UK and become competitive in the world? Because we are losing ground. You know, we used to be an empire, but we're losing ground. He said, yes, I have 3 objectives. And the journalist said, what? Those objectives. He said, first one is education. Second one is education. Third one is education. So I think really education, if you want to change the world, if you want to change your community, if you want to change society, you cannot do it except with the right education. Education of the right thing. Always I say, people saying education not enough. Quality education. Purpose geared education. Education for living together. Education not to build on hatred against others. Education to appreciate other cultures. Education to develop skills. And education to arm you of free thinking, the inquiry. So you educate how to read, you educate how to investigate, you educate how to reach to the information. You educate really how to inquire about everything. And this is the type of education we should look for. Once you concentrate on this type of education, the right education for everyone, education for all, whether basic education, whether secondary education, and open the venues in quality education, higher education, university education, I think you are on the right track. You are on the right track because education, in the end, the outcome has to meet with the needs of the community. Well, they say, for example, universities in the third world did not develop the industry. Yes, I agree. Didn't do like they did in the States or Europe, but a time will come when both will meet, where the delivery of the higher education will meet with the needs of the community, the society, the industry. You see, they will meet, they will come. The most important thing is really to provide the quality education, diversified education, interdisciplinary education, because problem right now like climate change cannot be solved except with interdisciplinarity, interdisciplinary education, because you need the physicists, the biologists, the chemists, the mathematicians all together work in the same room, and the engineers and the environmental people, etc., etc. So this is why I think education is very important, but quality education and what I call targeted education, where I want to achieve that target, I want to reach that target, and this is the education I need to achieve and reach that target.
Let me put a couple questions sort of together if I can, but I know your work as Deputy Director General of UNESCO.
Yes.
I might ask you about what it's taught you about the value and role of education in fostering positive international relations, and are you hopeful for the prospects of better understanding and closer relationships between the Arab world, Western world, and the world generally?
I am very hopeful. UNESCO can do a central role in really training the teachers and providing the right education, away of dogma and away of xenophobia. and a way of religious teachings, which sometimes they are closed, and their what I call roof is very low in terms of liberty. You cannot argue about everything in the world. You have red lines, because of religious factors. And this is why I feel UNESCO can do a lot in terms of free education for all. Yes, appreciating religion, but not letting always some sects to use religion against education, like being done during the old ages in Europe. And you know what I mean. I mean, once you separated the state from religion and respecting religion, respecting the churches, I think we should do the same, like they've done in Turkey. Turkey is a secular state. Malaysia is a secular state. Indonesia is a secular state. And I believe in secularism. I am a religious man. To save religion, where religion become ethics of the person, interactive with I would say the good things. This way you can save religion out of state politics and keep the politics away from religion. I think this is what we need to do. We've succeeded in Turkey, we've succeeded in Malaysia, we've succeeded in Indonesia, but the Arab world, they have to move through to that direction. So I hope that international organizations like UNESCO can build what I call education based on ideals, based on ethics, based on developing skills, based on really what I call not only developing skills, but developing thinkers, creativity of thinking, to be creative, not to be dogma. Cannot be done except with UNESCO, I feel. And I tried this during my days at UNESCO. We've succeeded in so many parts of the world, particularly in Africa. We got a huge program, Education for Africa, and Science and Technology for Africa. And I was handling those as Deputy Director General of UNESCO. But in the Arab world, I think we need to be careful, because I don't want to clash with the sectarianism, with people, who belong to that school. I think we should interact and try to develop together how we promote open education system.
Dr. Bedran, you've served in many leadership roles as in your country's Minister of Agriculture, Education, Defense, and as Prime Minister of your country. During your tenure in these leadership roles, what programs and initiatives are you most proud of?
During my time, I think that I am to tell you the truth. I am proud of really creating the state-of-the-art universities, 3 universities in Jordan. I would say even 4. Yarmouk, Science and Technology University, Philadelphia, and now Petra. Those I am proud of them because I put them on the right track. And I believe those the seeds which are with my other colleagues planted in Jordan, I think they will bring us the fruits of development in Jordan. This is one. The second thing I am proud during my research after graduating in the States, I'm proud of the R&D I've done really to bring fruits and vegetables for more shelf life, where they are distributed throughout the world. And this helped, by the way, the food problem. I mean, think about it. The Russians, they've never been able to eat bananas in the past. Now they eat bananas because of the technique and the method how to store banana green and bring them to Moscow and then ripen them. This was the result of the research I've done with the United Fruit Company during that time. So I'm proud of that period. It's really a short period, but it was very dynamic and working period in bringing R&D, patents, and research to distribute food throughout the world. And this has been adapted to all fruits with the climacteric rise of respiration, which is apple. Apple, they have the CA storage, but we've developed now a pack for apple to be stored in a box and the box you bring it home. It's in the Apple store. You see, with this plastic which allow oxygen to diffuse in, and this you use to diffuse out, where you put the apple and the fruits into sleep, because their respiration rate will be lower, suppress respiration, so their metabolic rate will be lower. And once you reduce metabolism of the fresh fruits, fresh produce, fruits and vegetables, to a minimum, then you lengthen what I call the breakdown of carbohydrate, and you lengthen the shelf life, or the storage life. The third thing, as Prime Minister, really, I am proud at that time, really, of the social safety net, what we have done in Jordan. You remember, the oil went very high, the food prices were very high, everything went up high, and we were afraid of social unrest because people will go hungry. I mean, they cannot afford those things, no more. So we developed a social safety net where we provided all the people poor jobs, etc., and it works out very well. We put tax on oil, and this tax should go to the social safety net. We provided the social safety net, and this way we didn't get any social unrest or uprising like happened in other countries in the world. We developed what we call parallel markets to provide the basic food for everybody in low prices. Obviously, we have to subsidize. I know that in the state you are against subsidy, but I have to subsidize only that period to overcome the high rise of food. And now it's over because we put things in place. So I think this social safety net is good to think about it once you work within a capitalistic system, because we should not go very far in capitalism that we forget the social dimension. If we do forget the social dimension, then really capitalism has a short life span, cannot continue. You have to show that the system you have, whether the capitalist or not capitalism system, that it shows a social dimension. Otherwise, people will revolt in the future and will ask you to go back to socialism. And this is no good, because socialism has failed, does not give incentive to individual and the people to create and invent and develop. Competition is killed, no competitiveness among socialism. But really, if you go too far in capitalism without any control, then you are leading your country to disaster.
You need that balance.
You need a balance, a third way. And I think I have developed the third way in Jordan during my government. We provided a social safety net and kept capitalism to proceed.
Final question, and I've got to get to your luncheon meeting. How do you hope people in your country and others around the world will remember you, Dr. Bedran? How do you hope that your fellow countrymen and people around the world you come in contact with, what do you want your legacy to be? How do you hope they'll remember you?
Well, I think the legacy is building peace, and building the cultural peace among people. It has to start from childhood through education, and I did that. Through education from childhood we should proceed, because really wars always born in the minds of men, and if you plant the seed of love, the seed of interaction, the seed of appreciating differences, and the seeds of appreciating other cultures, and the seed that this world belongs to all, not to one or to segment, and this interaction really you can plant it from childhood, and this we've done at UNESCO. And this I had a huge project on this for Africa, how to plant the seed of love through education at early childhood, from the KG, you see, through the curriculum. If you do that, then really you are building leaders in the future who believe in the concept that peace is a must, that no more conflicts. People obviously should live in peace because they are interdependent on each other. In other words, they have common interests. I mean, you have an interest, I have an interest, so those interests form a common ground for us to deal with, to interact with, and to communicate with. I think this is really the legacy, that right education for all, and building on the education, mutual understanding, building the culture of peace, building the culture of how to live together and how to deal with each other. That's the things I'd like to be remembered to. I don't want to take detail here and there, but that's the main concept of really what I call security and peace for all.
I'd not appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to mention that we didn't bring up that you want to say in closing?
Well, Jerry, you've asked everything you want, and I mean, I don't want to add anything else. I do thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. It's great to have you back in Stillwater.